watching Fox 26, KNPN.
Tonight on News Press Now, FEMA is changing a 40-year-old flood map for St. Joseph. We'll tell you who's affected by the changes. And
the Senate Judiciary Committee hears from outside witnesses on the last day of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's Supreme Court confirmation hearing. I'm Malva Rivera in Washington with a look at the issues that have been covered so far, coming up.
Day 4 of cool, cloudy, and damp conditions, but clearer weather is just hours away. I'll have the details coming up.
Live from downtown St. Joseph, you're watching News Press Now.
good evening. Thanks for joining us here on News Press Now at 5:30. I'm Charles Christian. 2 Trenton, Missouri men have been indicted by a federal grand jury for their roles in a conspiracy to distribute fentanyl. Now, 24-year-old Troy Lee Palmer and 26-year-old Dallas Hughes were charged in a 6-count indictment. The federal indictment alleges they both participated in a conspiracy to distribute 400 grams or more of fentanyl since October of 2020. Additionally, Palmer is charged with 1 count of possessing the drug to distribute in Grundy County in December of 2020 and 1 count of possessing several firearms in furtherance of drug trafficking crimes. The charges now must be presented to a federal trial jury to determine whether the men are guilty of these accusations. Well, the rains keep on coming down. It's some dark skies behind you, so we have a little bit more of that left, it looks like.
Just maybe an hour or two, but I want to point out it might be hard to see. This is looking downtown, looking west. Low levels here, you can see a little bit of brightening trying to happen on the horizon. So maybe before the sun sets, you can see a little bit of blue sky because those clear conditions are just next door in Kansas, and they are headed in this direction. But still right now, as Charles said, we're still very cloudy and it's still chilly too. 40 degrees, which is as warm as we've been all day. We've been hanging out in the 30s for most of the day with those very light sprinkles of rain, and maybe some flurries did mix in also this morning. And you can see still low level clouds here, but that clearing is taking place just to the west, maybe about 30 or 40 miles into the state of Kansas, and it is headed in this direction. As I mentioned, you can see still some areas of maybe some patchy drizzle down to the south, but we are pretty much done with that precipitation. Looking at those temperatures, still chilly as I mentioned, 40 here in St. Joe with upper 30s elsewhere, really 39 there in Cameron, 39 in Halls, with 42 in Maryville. So all of us within a couple of degrees of one another temperature-wise. Forecast tonight, of course, those skies are going to start clearing out within the next couple of hours. Temperatures cooling off down into the 30s, eventually getting near a degree or two below freezing depending on where you are. That wind is going to slack off a little bit too. So starting off your day on Friday with that sunshine, but you do need to have the jacket at the bus stop. Nice thing is you can leave the rain gear at home, and then later on in the day on Friday with that sunshine, although there will be quite a bit of wind, temperatures are going to get warmer. Yes, a high of 56 degrees with those mostly sunny conditions. I'll talk about when we warm to above average temperature wise coming up in a moment, but yes, that sunshine, Charles, a sight for sore eyes.
Very much so. Looking good there. Thank you, Jared. FEMA is in the process of changing the city's 40-year-old flood maps. The changes would impact Southside residents and economic development. Now, one proposed change is getting rid of the floodways along Frederick and St. Joseph Avenue. This limited any new construction unless it can be proven that it wouldn't affect flood levels.
Any new development, addition, or if somebody want to build a new building along Frederick Avenue and it was in the floodway, it was almost impossible. I mean, you would have to prove, an engineer would have to prove that this new development would not increase the rise, the level of the base flood by 0, and which is basically impossible to do. I mean, you know, and so it really, really restricted development in there.
Now, the new map would allow for future development. It would also require flood insurance for Southside residents near Contrary Creek, which many did not have when it overflowed about 2 years ago. The proposed maps could go into effect early next year. Well, today is the final day of hearings for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Outside witnesses spoke to the Senate Judiciary Committee about the Supreme Court nominee's record and character. Madeline Rivera has more.
After facing 2 bruising days of questions, Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson won't be in the room for the final day of her Supreme Court confirmation hearing. The Senate Judiciary Committee listening instead to those who support and oppose the nominee.
The Standing Committee concluded that Judge Jackson is well qualified to serve as an Associate Justice on the Supreme Court.
Tensions flared on Wednesday. Republicans are dissatisfied with Jackson's responses on her sentences for child sex abusers, arguing she had been lenient.
The government asked for enhancements. Why didn't you apply the enhancements as they were asked for?
Senator, I've answered this question many times from many senators who've asked me. So I'll stand on what I've already said.
Republicans are pushing for the committee to hand over copies of the pre-sentencing reports in child porn cases that Jackson had overseen. Committee Chairman Dick Durbin is refusing to do so, citing victim privacy issues.
Why the Republicans and Ted Cruz insist on pouring through these now to try to build their specious case against her, I don't know.
But Jackson received praise, too, from Democrats who touted the historic nature of her nomination, bringing her to tears.
I hope to inspire people to try to follow this path because I love this country.
Chairman Durbin says the committee will meet on Monday to consider Jackson's nomination, but Republicans may ask for a delay on that vote. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Meanwhile, as the war in Ukraine continues, Ukraine claims a new victory. Ukrainian officials say they've successfully destroyed a Russian warship. Seen here, this video of the ship in question. It's claimed to be a Russian ship at Berdyansk port in Ukraine. Smoke is seen billowing from the ship from what the Ukrainian Defense Ministry says is a successful strike by Ukrainian forces. Several Russian ships have been unloading military equipment at this particular dock in recent days. That's according to reports from the Russian media. President Biden announcing new ways the United States and NATO will step in and help Ukraine as he meets with world leaders in Belgium. This as Ukraine's president delivers a stark warning to NATO: help us or you could find yourself on the receiving end of Russia's aggression. Alexis McAdams is in Brussels with the details.
President Biden is here in Brussels meeting with NATO leaders. This comes as the United States has now announced they'll accept 100,000 Ukrainian refugees. Today, President Biden attending a series of closed-door emergency meetings in Brussels to pressure Russia to end its invasion on Ukraine.
NATO has never been more united than it is today.
President Biden joined 29 other heads of state during the NATO summit, the leaders deciding on a new path to help Ukraine and ways to punish Russia for its brutal invasion, including new sanctions.
More than 300 members of the Duma, oligarchs, and Russian defense companies that fuel the Russian war machine.
World leaders also discussed ways to reduce Europe's dependence on Russian gas and how to deter China from helping Moscow. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressed the group via video chat. This time, he did not ask for a no-fly zone or NATO membership. Instead, a warning of Vladimir Putin's greater threat to Europe, asking leaders to send 1% of NATO tanks and weapons.
Russia doesn't want to stop on Ukraine. It wants to go further against the eastern members of NATO, Baltic countries, Poland, that's for sure.
As concerns over Russia using nuclear weapons increase by the day, a Russian diplomat warns nothing's off the table.
If Russia is provoked by NATO, if Russia is attacked by NATO, I don't know. So we are nuclear power. Why not?
Next up, President Biden will be in Poland on the ground to discuss the ongoing humanitarian crisis. In Brussels, Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Still ahead on News Press Now.
Many families are still digging out of the destruction across the South, specifically Texas and here in Louisiana. I'm Robert Ray. I'll have details coming right up.
Still stuck with the clouds at this hour, but that clearing is imminent. You can see it just to our west. I'll have more details coming up.
Some hesitate when faced with a decision, but not you. Introducing the 2022 Telluride Nightfall Edition.
The Colony House Furniture and Bedding Store is overstocked. Truckloads of new furniture have just arrived and our warehouse is full. We must liquidate existing inventory to make room for new arrivals. So we're having an overstock clearance sales event, and it's going on right now. Beautiful flex steel furniture, row after row of Lazy Boy recliners, complete bedrooms, dining rooms, even all in-stock mattresses. Take an additional 20% off all Lazy Boys during our overstock clearance sales event at the Colony House, St. Joseph.
Presenting Kia's turbo-infused Sport Tune GT lineup, backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty. Get 1.9% APR for up to 48 months on the purchase of a new 2022 Forte.
Well, people are flocking to gas stations across Chicago and its suburbs for free gas. Businessman Willie Wilson is donating a total of $1 million worth of free gasoline. The goal is to help those struggling to keep up with the rising prices. Drivers will get up to $50 in free gas at 48 participating stations. The gas will be given away until the $1 million donation runs out. You may remember last week Wilson gave away $200,000 in gas, and that giveaway caused massive gridlock in the city, so Wilson worked with local officials in an effort to keep the traffic to a minimum. Homes are leveled after tornadoes ravaged through parts of the South earlier this week. The damage left behind will take months, if not longer, for some to rebuild. Robert Ray has more from Louisiana.
Many people are still cleaning up the physical and emotional damage left behind after a tornado hit parts of Texas and Louisiana earlier this week. The tornado flattened homes and caused widespread destruction to schools and businesses. On Wednesday, Louisiana's governor declared a state of emergency after 2 tornadoes sliced through parts of New Orleans.
The swath of damage is just tremendous, and the nature of a tornado, it doesn't really make sense because you have one house totally destroyed. The house next to it looks like it's not hurt at all.
In Texas, one family is picking up the pieces and memories left behind after the storm took their aunt's life. 73-year-old Veranda Rogers died in the outbreak of tornadoes that swept across North Texas Monday afternoon.
I just couldn't believe it that she lost her life over this.
More than 90 families lost their homes in the Lone Star State, but many say they are just thankful to be alive. One 16-year-old in Elgin, Texas, is still shocked he survived after his truck was tossed around by the strong tornado winds. A video captured by a passerby shows Riley Leon's truck being lifted and flipped on its side before landing wheels down on the ground.
Seeing the videos, I'm like, that's me and I could have probably not been here, but thank God I am.
Leon says he went out for a job interview, but will do things differently in the future. Now, the National Guard has been mobilized to help people, families, and businesses in need as this destruction and aftermath continues. In Louisiana, Robert Ray, Fox News.
Yes, those tornadoes, absolutely unbelievable. Our heart goes out to those folks down in the South that have been dealing with those, and the harrowing footage there. Tornadoes, still crazy forces of nature that are not completely understood. Now, luckily, we have not been dealing with any of those recently with this system, the same one that produced those tornadoes down in those southern states. We have just been dealing with this nasty, overcast, damp, and cool weather for now day 4, but it is almost finished. Right now, though, still, of course, socked in with those clouds all across the area, although a little bit of lightning is starting to happen, seeing on these cameras. maybe signs that that clearing is just a couple of hours away. We'll see how clear we can get before the sun sets, but more of that clearing, of course, happening overnight. Temperatures also, getting to those, are still chilly, as I mentioned. We're 40 degrees in St. Joe, same thing in Springfield, and 41 in Des Moines. So the backside of this low pressure system really making an air mass that's pretty homogeneous, not a whole lot of change under this deck of low level clouds and moisture. But you can see that appendage that's on the edge of this main low pressure system is almost out of our area. So we're still dealing with those low level clouds. You can see some showers down to the south and east of us, but just upwind here to the west and even to the northwest, we have clearing. Most of Nebraska and Kansas are mostly clear at this hour, and that air mass is headed in this direction. You can see too the changes in air mass with the humidity. Relative humidity still high here in St. Joe, Des Moines, Springfield, and points to the north and east, but then you get towards Wichita here at 44% and very low humidity values here in Goodland and North Platte there in the teens. So that is some seriously dry air that is headed in our direction, and that's the theme this weekend. We are going to be drying out. Windy on Friday with that sunshine for a couple of days, helping to dry things out after this inch of rain that we did receive, followed by a warmer start to next week, and that rain, of course, returning the middle of your work week next week. Tonight, though, we have those decreasing clouds, of course, as I'm laying out for everybody, but temperatures still cold, getting down a couple degrees below freezing across the area. But through the day on Friday, we're going to warm up. Mostly sunny conditions through the day, despite a few passing clouds, but windy, all right? Winds 15 to 20, gusting up to 30 miles per hour. So that might make that 55 or 56 feel a little more like 50 or 49, but that's still better than those 30s that we've been dealing with for a couple of days now. Looking at the futurecast, of course, tonight, starting the clock here at 6 p.m., those clouds do quickly kind of move on out. Friday at 5 a.m., we are mostly clear with a couple of clouds and a disturbance moving on through that brings in a cool breeze out of the northwest. So that's going to be responsible for that wind on Friday. But high pressure does move on through Friday night. Saturday, we have another little disturbance, maybe some clouds, no precipitation expected, and the same thing on Sunday. So drier this weekend with some breezy conditions and temperatures hanging around near average, but Sunday night that return flow really starts to our west, coming out of the south there, and that air mass heads in our direction. And you can tell when that real warm air does get here because it's going to be associated with this ridge. So now we're at Saturday, headed towards Sunday, really into Monday and Tuesday is when we deal with this ridge that is going to be associated with those above average temperatures. So Friday we're windy and warmer. Saturday and Sunday similar conditions, a few passing clouds with those temperatures warmer than what they've been, but hanging out around average, so not crazy warm until we get to Monday and especially into Tuesday, highs in the 70s. And looking here towards Wednesday, yeah, that chance of rain is going to return, which is all right because we could still use some of that rain. But we're going to have a nice period, Charles, to dry on out from this soaker that we've been dealing with this week.
Hey, you can't complain about that. Thanks very much, Jared. Well, plenty of brackets busted in the NCAA basketball tournaments lately, but this year's March Madness is also the first in which athletes can win big off the court. Matt Napolitano reports.
From St. Peter's Cinderella run in the men's bracket to a record-setting win by South Carolina women's hoops, March Madness is living up to its name this year. Beyond the madness, student athletes are making big money for the first time thanks to a Supreme Court ruling paving the way for them to profit off their name, image, and likeness, also known as NIL rights. Influencer marketing platform #Paid says after years of seeing no returns, basketball players are raking in millions of dollars through deals, endorsements, and other business endeavors. Gonzaga men's star Drew Timme and his famed facial hair teamed up with Dollar Shave Club for a March Madness campaign.
And as a result, the chin's incredibly smooth.
Hey, how's it going?
While fast food spot Wingstop paired up with 11 different women's hoops players who cover, you guessed it, the wing position. Now, more than ever, student athletes are taking advantage of making a name for themselves not only on the court, but also online and on TV as well. Hoops is a hot commodity. According to data from Open Doors, men's and women's basketball players accounted for roughly 1/3 of all NIL compensation for the month of February. In New York, Matt Napolitano, Fox News.
And looking at the pro level here, New York City Mayor Eric Adams announced today that unvaccinated players can play home games in New York City. New York City's mayor exempted athletes and performers. That includes Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving from the city's vaccine mandate today, while keeping in place the rule for countless other workers who faced losing their jobs for refusing to get vaccinated. The city's sweeping vaccine mandate still applies to many, including private workers and government employees. Critics of Mayor Adams' decision, including several public employee unions whose members were fired or for not getting vaccinated, blasted the mayor for seeming to lift the rule only for the wealthy and for famous athletes. Well, still ahead, Americans appear to be getting happier. That's according to a new survey. We have those numbers next in Health News.
At Evergy, we've been changing the way energy is supplied. Reliable, sustainable, affordable energy that puts you first. That's everything to us. Evergy, the utility company.
I know this may look like a classic rooftop chase scene, but it's an Nissan salesman ad. Right on cue. This Rogue's got more power than that CRV. Might want to hold on.
Hurry in and save up to $42.62 on select models.
The action never ends, but these offers will.
The Performing Arts Association presents Neil Berg's 50 Years of Rock and Roll, Thursday, April 7th. For ticket information, call 279-1225 or visit performingarts-stjoseph.org.
At longjohnsilvers.com, you can order online and sail past the line. Pick up a boatload of grilled shrimp, hand battered shrimp, or popcorn shrimp. Your choice for just $10. Order ahead at longjohnsilvers.com. Fish yeah!
In health news, Moderna announcing a big breakthrough in the effort to keep kids safe from COVID-19. Charles Watson has more from Atlanta.
Little pinch and then it's over. You're gonna do great, honey.
More kids could soon be rolling up their sleeves for a COVID-19 vaccine. Moderna releasing new data Wednesday showing their vaccine was effective among kids 6 months through 5 years old. The company reports Omicron infection was prevented about 40% of the time, the same as adults, but virtually none of these infections resulted in hospitalization or death. Welcome news for healthcare providers across the country.
Pediatric hospitals did see a lot of COVID-19 this last winter. And the good news is we have every reason to believe the vaccine will prevent all of those outcomes.
Moderna says it will soon ask for authorization from the feds, and the shots for kids could start as early as this summer. There are about 18 million children under 5 in the U.S. They're the only age group not yet eligible for the vaccine, and parents say it could be a game changer as they work to get life back to normal.
It's simple things like going to Target or grocery shopping at Costco, where now it's, oh, he has to stay home because I don't want him going.
Both Pfizer and Moderna are also asking for authorization for a second booster dose for adults, but some health officials say they're not needed at this time, with a reassessment expected in 5 to 6 months.
We're talking, for example, towards the beginning of the fall, the end of the summer. With regard to fourth doses from both companies,
the FDA's independent advisory committee is expected to meet April 6th to consider Moderna's request. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
Well, it appears that eating cranberries every day will keep the doctor away. New research conducted by King's College London says eating just 100 grams of cranberries each day can greatly improve cardiac functioning in healthy men by strengthening blood vessel and heart function. The study also shows that the benefits appear almost immediately. Benefits were also discovered when some participants took cranberry powder. And a happiness report says you're getting happier. The World Happiness Report uses Gallup World Poll data and looks at how people evaluate their lives. It says America is moving up. and climbed to 16th position out of 146 countries. That's up 3 from last year. The top jolly countries, well, Finland is king, followed by Denmark, Iceland, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. Well, that's all for your health news tonight. Still ahead, our own Jared Shelton is going to give us another look at our weather forecast. Stay with us.
St. Joseph has a small town charm that many people long for. And if you are selling a home, Kansas City Real Estate brings the Kansas City buyer market to you. All of our agents are from St. Joe, so we know the area and how to find exactly what you need. Transparency, honesty, and integrity are the core values we focus on, all while making the experience easy for our clients. With our experienced team, we cannot wait to show you what we're all about. I'm Karen Henderson, and it's my pleasure to introduce Kansas City Real Estate to the St. Joseph market.
I'm Michael Grimm, and I'm running for City Council District 4. I am committed to making St. Joseph a safe and beautiful city. On April 5th, please vote for me to be your City Council representative. Together, let's move St. Joseph forward.
At Albright Buick GMC, we're a local family-owned business, and we're here for you and your family. Whether it's the need for a new vehicle or service on your current one, stop in today and let's make a deal that's right for you. Albright Buick GMC at Belton Beck and St. Joe.
XDT.
All eyes are going to be on this.
Sandra Channing, your first look at the Lost City. Plus, after Rachel Ray's devastating house fire, only we're inside her newly renovated home.
Yes, we changed the material of the roof to tin so that we are not going to be the three little pigs twice.
Then, Zachary Levi on his transformation into NFL legend Kurt Warner.
Thank God for movie magic, okay?
Finally tonight, a former circus bear from Ukraine finds a new home in Romania. Masha, a 22-year-old European brown bear, was successfully rescued by animal protection groups, making the 140-mile journey from war-torn Ukraine to a bear sanctuary in Romania. She'll live out her life with 116 other bears. That's according to the animal rights group. And Masha was a circus bear for 19 years, forced to perform tricks and live in a tiny cage, but now she will roam freely, climb trees, and even swim on the 170-acre property. Good for her, good for them for rescuing her, and hey, I don't know how bears think, but Jared, I think she's going to be a little happier there.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's interesting to think about. I mean, we know that regular everyday life is certainly on pause there for who knows how long, but that goes for domesticated animals too.
That's right.
Also being affected by that. So certainly a good story there. And also another good story is the weather. Yes. Now tonight we're going to cool off. We get down just below freezing with those clearing conditions. That's the good part, but it gets better. This weekend we remain mostly sunny, and temperatures are really going to warm up the beginning of next week. So I hate to talk about Monday, but we're approaching 70, which is not bad, before we do have some more chances of rain coming for the middle of the work week.
Well, talking about Monday is good if it's going to be 70 degrees. That's not bad. Thanks very much, Jared. And thank you for watching News Press Now. You can always find updates online at newspressnow.com. We'll see you back here tonight at 9. Have a great evening.